Welcome. I'm Kelly Kearney with Starry Constellation Magazine, and with me today to talk about their great new film, a comedy improv short playing on at this Friday or June 13th at the Tribeca Film Festival, is director Jessica Sanders and actress Vivian Bang from the film I Want to Feel Fun. Welcome, guys.
Thanks so much.
Absolutely.
Hi.
Hi. So let's start with Jessica, director. Great improv. It often involves a lot of creativity, creative spontaneity, some teamwork, some unique directorial decisions obviously go into it. How did you approach directing the film and much of the dialogue? And when much of the dialogue and the action were unscripted, was there like a special approach that you took?
Well, my background is as a documentary filmmaker, and now I mostly do kind of comedy and narrative work. So for this film, it really combined both my background and interests in both docs and narrative. But I really kind of started as a creative experiment of like, can I make a movie without traditional script that's completely improvised? And a huge part of that is collaborating with incredibly intelligent, smart, receptive talent like Vivian Bang, who's here with us right now. And yeah, it's what I love about it. It's really collaborative, and all of the scenes are kind of based on exaggerated truths. So like for Vivian and Avi Rothman scene, I also liked combining my actors with non-actors. So we have the Kang family, who's an actual Korean American family in Los Angeles that plays Vivian's family. And it was just really fun to kind of design our scenes loosely, but then within that, give my actors room to play and tweak. And just, I think that naturalism and authenticity with just kind of their natural reactions, I think just really brings a lot of energy and like unexpectedness and life to the scenes that just I was really drawn to and really excited about. And I'm curious what Vivian thinks too about what it's like to do something improvised versus something more traditionally scripted.
Well, did you set a goal early on for the tone and the pacing, Jessica? And how did you kind of guide performers towards that? Because I know there was basically a bare bones script, correct? And then you sort of jumped off of that for the improvisation. So how did you sort of guide performers toward that?
Well, there actually wasn't even a traditional script. Really, the inspiration of the film came from a shower curtain that I saw. So the comedian Esther Pavitsky, who's in the film, I had interviewed her, and actually Vivian and Avi and a bunch of other funny, fun friends about love and dating for another project. And Esther was standing in front of this Nicki Minaj shower curtain, which I thought was hilarious. And she thinks they're both strong women. And then like a week later, um, I saw that Nicki Minaj was performing downtown Los Angeles. So I just called up Esther and I was like, I don't know what this will be, but let's film you trying to get into the Nicki show. So it was very brief. It looks like our friend Avi's here. So from there, Avi became her brother, Simon Rex became her boyfriend, Vivian became Avi's girlfriend, and it just kind of naturally grew. And as people came on the project, then we kind of also developed kind of the story beats and emotional beats.
Yeah, I love that. I think Avi was checking in a second ago. I saw
I'm
him.
here.
Sky.
I'm here. I
I want
just
to
can't.
just, oh,
Yeah, I
hi,
just can't do
Avi.
video. Hi, how are you? Sorry, I'm late.
Hi, join us. You can't do
Thank you.
video?
It's really hard for me to do video.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
Well, we'll
that's
just,
okay. We can still talk to you and ask questions because I definitely wanted to ask you about kind of coming up with this idea for the film. You were a writer on the film, but obviously it's mostly improvisational. How did you
Yeah.
balance being funny, Avi, and keeping the story structured coherent while also remaining free to just express yourself improv wise?
I think good question. Um, Jessica and I, when we were talking about the script, and also, I mean, Vivian too, because she was involved, especially the family scene. I think we spoke about the we knew what the beats were. We were like, okay, we're starting here and we want to end here. And so there we had some clear beats we wanted to hit where I'll give you an example. It's the family, her family doesn't they just kind of think they don't respect me so much because of what I do. So we knew we wanted to go there, and we were just trying to hit certain beats along the way. And so I think it gave us room to just play around and try different things, knowing that we had certain beats and knowing our beginning and knowing our end point.
Yeah, and if I can add to that, I think it really helps that all of us are kind of friends to begin with.
Yeah, it's
We're,
true.
we're all kind of very we've been friends for a very long time in LA. Jessica, I've always admired as, such an accomplished doc filmmaker. She's able to sort of grasp sort of like take from reality and just kind of hone in on at like pick and choose like her sort of POV to tell these stories. And so I always knew that she'd be able to like sort of or have that trust to know that she'd be able to pick the stories. And she created this like we all kind of like added and kind developed these characters and kind of like it's like kids, like we had so much fun making this because it was like we were so free to kind of create this world. And it took some prep, but also there was just kind of an impromptu, let's just do this, and kind of punk rock spirit. And she created this space, cast everyone, and we all sort of had a very clear idea of our characters. And so then it's like run, and it's like kids just playing and what if and make believe. And Jessica totally just sort of very like behind the scenes, like would just capture these magical moments, and you don't even know that you're being captured. You're just sort of improving and having what if
So
fun.
was there a lot of rehearsal, Vivian, or was it just sort of
No, there
like
was no rehearsal. In fact, I
no
met my
rehearsal?
family. I met my family that day, right
Yeah.
before the shoot, really, and just had to, that's how it is though. Even, the woman who played my mom, she's not a professional actor, but she was a friend of Jessica's, a friend's mom who was like enthusiastic about, yeah, I can do a what if. And I think it's about creating these safe places to play, and then we just as if like I kind of channeled my mom and relationships with my mom. She spoke Korean, and as soon as like that Korean language is spoken, you're just like, oh, she's my mom.
Right, he just fits right in. Well, I have to ask because that dinner scene was awkward with like a capital A. I loved it. It just made me feel like so uncomfortable for Avi, and then like sort of a little bit like I felt bad a little bit for your character because she was kind of stuck in the middle a little bit. So, what was your process sort of when how like well I guess my question is what was your process on building off of Avi's reactions? Was there like different takes that you did? Was there ones that maybe fell on the editing floor that you thought, wow, that was really funny, I wish we could have used that? But like how did you really kind of build off of his comedy? Was it something that you guys worked together, really
Yeah,
hard
so
together on?
like I said, there was very like little rehearsal. I think Jessica is such an, again, like her coming from doc world, she's able to kind of capture these like real moments, in the moment that it's happening. And so just even speaking Korean and knowing that like anytime I mentioned Avi's name, he's gonna know that we're talking about him. But Avi had no idea actually what we're actually
By the way,
you know.
I'm just gonna add, I already felt like a fish out of water because I don't speak Korean, so I had
Yeah.
no idea what they were saying, which made me just feel awkward as a human being. So it just added more, fuel,
Yeah, it was like
fodder.
real,
Yeah,
because like
It's real.
we didn't tell Avi what we were saying.
yeah.
There was a very specific, Jessica and I had a private conversations about, my sort of values and my status and what drove me as a character. And so because we each had our own, kind of life, I just, and then, I think culturally, us both being Asian Americans, there are some cultural sort of universal ideals of parents want their kids to succeed, and
Sure.
there are definite worries, and whatever our choices are, it's like they're not always going to get it. So that was like a very universal thing that
Yeah.
Jessica's friend,
Yeah, it
she
was. I
knew how
love
to
that part
do.
because there was a lot of cultural dynamics that were like infused in that scene, and it was such a short moment that if you're in an obvious situation or if you're in your situation, you totally get that moment. And I just felt like it was so awkward for him. It was just really funny. Avi, were there any moments from that scene that maybe totally surprised you during a take?
Um, I I wouldn't say surprised me. I I guess I was a little, talking to Vivian and Jessica about it because the family we were acting with like Vivian was saying, they're non-actors. They're not actors. So
Right.
I was maybe a little worried about how it was gonna go at first.
But I would just say for me, it was also a creative choice to not subtitle the scene too, just to keep it in like what how Avi was feeling more alienated. Because at one point we did subtitle it in Korean, and it kind of lost the comedy of it,
Yeah.
and it made it more about like kind of how he couldn't connect, with the family. And then also, like you mentioned, because of my doc background, I don't do a lot of takes. Like we'll try a couple things, but like it's shot kind of real time, the whole thing. And then within that, a couple little versions. But again, like Vivian said, like maybe some side conversations with each cast. Also just like what are the themes or like emotional beats that we want to connect with. And yeah, I also don't like to shoot a lot either. So like kind of like what's the essence of each scene, and then also just like all the cultural details of any, it's a very LA story. Like I'm an LA native, so also like the Korean family scene specifically, there's like I've got a shot of the food, just like little things to really like ground an audience to be in this moment. So I just like to kind
I'm
of
so surprised about the brother not being an actor because he was
Hey,
great in that scene.
it goes back.
That's my friend Gene Kang, and he's a lawyer, probably a secret aspiring actor. And he and the entire Kang family are coming to our premiere next weekend. So
Oh, I
um,
love that.
there is like I think their dreams are going to be, yeah, it's going to be really fun for everybody to be here.
Well, Jessica, were there any improvisations in the film that changed the direction of the film, or maybe a direction in the scene that was like just so funny and surprising it popped off, and you thought, yeah, we're gonna go that way?
I mean, I think because of my doc background, I like putting my actors in moments like specifically with Vivian, they're with an actual family that's not actors, but also like Esther, for instance, trying to get into the Nikki show. We go to the Staples Center in downtown LA, and I'm like, hey, go talk to those people who are also trying to get in the Nikki show. And I think as an actress, maybe she wouldn't necessarily normally be comfortable doing that, but so like depending on how people react, like it could change the direction of the story. And I think for me as a filmmaker, I think it's just like fun to like be open to the unexpected. And I think that energy comes in the film, and I think audiences feel it. And I think I mean, I'm hoping that's why this has been, gotten into Tribeca and is getting such a good response. So I do think it has a texture and energy that's a little bit different than a traditional comedy.
And I have to say, like, the process of making it was so fun. So I think that energy definitely translates because it was, it took some planning, but at the same time, the actual play of it was so free.
I mean, maybe trying to include something.
Hi.
What's
Yeah, and I
sorry?
think Avi, your phone's actually, I think also the title of the film is to feel fun. And so I do think the title is kind of manifests the direction of the movie and attracts people who want to have fun with this. So yeah, fun is fun, and just being able to do something and make it as low to the ground and kind of accessible as possible. It's just a two-person crew, or like a sound person and a camera person. No, there's no lights. Like that energy and spirit is definitely like a big part of kind of the film and what we're trying to do here.
Or do you have a favorite moment in the film that you really love? Maybe even one that you didn't predict you were going to love, but it just turned out so great.
Me personally,
Yes.
I love that the family scene that we did with Vivian, like with Vivian and I and the Korean family. I thought it was just yeah, it was just went so well and so natural, and it was so fun to shoot. I think uh, just having it was I kind of never really experienced something like that because I mostly work with, and I'm sure Vivian too, like when we're working with actors and just having these people just they were so comfortable and just went so smoothly. It was great. It was a fun scene.
What was everyone's reaction when you heard it was going to be in Tribeca, when it was included in the Tribeca Shorts categories?
I mean, for me, I know they have 13,000 submissions, and I
Wow.
think they're one of 90 shorts, and they're also known for their shorts program specifically. I did have a short in 2021, and it was one of the best programming I've ever been part of. And so for our film and for me as a filmmaker and I mean, it's like, Tribeca is one of the top festivals in the world, and just like so honored and excited to be accepted. And the attention that the project has been getting is like, very exciting. So I'm thrilled, but I'm curious what everyone else thinks.
I was so excited. It's like So fun. I
Is
mean,
this your first Tribeca?
this is my first Tribeca. Yeah,
Mhm.
I
Yes.
also made a film, a feature called White Rabbit, and I was at Sundance in 2018. But I've never done Tribeca, so this is going to be so exciting. And we did. I was in a film on HBO called The Parenting, which premiered at Tribeca earlier this year, for their Tribeca series. So I have met some of the folks there, and they're also cool. I'm really really excited. But I just wanted to say this film is like. Um, we shot this a while ago, and so
Yeah.
hadn't been in our mind. So it was kind of like what a pleasant surprise to work on something that was so kind of almost effortless compared to some of the other projects that that it's really a lot of prep and it takes a lot of contracts and agents and blah blah. And then this like making something really like sort of fun and effortless with your friends, and then to have like to be able to share with an audience at Tribeca. I mean, it's so fun and so joyous, so unexpectedly like rad.
Uh, Jessica, what do you hope sticks with fans when they're walking out of the theater on Friday on the 13th? What do you hope sticks with fans about this film?
Well, one is actually we're creating the feature version too, so hopefully they want to see more.
Fantastic.
Um, and we're kind of using, this is a launching pad for that. But I mean, I think the themes of the film are about like connection and like I think we're all, I mean, it's also a very LA story, like driving around trying to find people, find love, find connect, but I think it's just like a very human story that I think everybody can relate to. And I also just am charmed by the comedy of life and just all the kind of funny, unexpected things and textures. And so I hope audiences kind of like, recognize some things about themselves in it, or just think of like a shower curtain of something like that can be so funny and maybe be inspiration for a movie. So
Esther was hysterical in the film. So I
yeah.
was so sad that I get a chance to speak with her today, but she was very funny. And I just loved actually the relationship between the brother and sister, between Avi's character. It was just so funny how he just dropped everything to go get her. And she was so demanding and just so free spirited. She just sort of like popped off with any idea that she had. I really love that character. I think it'll be a fantastic full length feature, great comedy.
Oh, thank you. Yeah,
Thank
that's
you.
incredible. And again, just for me to work with like smart people like, Vivian, Avi, Simon, Esther, and like, especially Esther being a comedian, just like material, just like a lot. It's a very collaborative, this project. And I think it just makes everyone more, it everyone has more ownership in it creatively, because it's like, I really love collaborating and just kind of being, open to everybody's ideas. And so I think all that energy is captured in this.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
Jessica Saunders' like motto is "I want to feel fun." I feel like that's very her, and so
Really?
like even yeah, I think so. I think as long I mean as I long as I've known you, you've always been in search of fun
Yeah,
in
I
that
would say
way.
you too. You too, Vivian. Vivian is
And then
definitely one of my
yeah,
fun.
so like what is life but to search for that, and just even her process of making this yeah, very very fun. So I just want to celebrate like the process and all of you guys. You too,
Thanks
And
so
what do
Avi.
you hope
much.
sticks with
Thank you.
fans?
Sorry, say that again.
What do you hope sticks with fans when they watch the film?
I hope they enjoy it and share a laugh. That's basically it. It's
Well, thank you so much, everyone. I mean, I think the fans are going to love it. I think the shorts at Tribeca are always so fantastic and really draw in eyes that might not always be so familiar with shorts, but they're so quality at Tribeca. And this is it's definitely found its place in this category. I think you're going to have a lot of success, and I hope to see it in a full length feature. I really do.
Amazing. Well,
Thanks,
thanks for
Kelly.